Welcome to the X Corner. I'm here to add that mutation to the SuperHeroCrew still. I'll be covering the X comics for March 13th, 2019. This week we have 5 comics. Age of X-Men Apocalypse and Xtracts Number 1, Age of X-Men The Marvelous X-Men Number 2, Dead Man Logan Number 5, X23 Number 10, and X-Force Number 4. Spoilers, of course. We'll start with Age of X-Men Apocalypse and the Xtracts Number 1, written by Tim Seeley and art by Salvador Espin. Apocalypse has created a team of beatniks to oppose the anti-love doctrines of the X-Men. Dazzler, Kitty, Eye-Boy, and Genesis are his riders. The team get high via some mutant's power and devise a plan. Apocalypse is going to have a rally to promote love and relationships, while the riders go to Russia to find a mutant that will fit into his plans. The mutant turns out to be Omega Red, and he's already started killing people. This was a weird story. I can't say it was bad, just it, like many of the minis, barely set up a story to get into. It seems like Apocalypse has ulterior motives for his love-ins, but we'll see. 6 out of 10. Then we have Age of X-Men, The Marvelous X-Men Number 2, written by Lonnie Nadler and Zach Thompson, with art by Marco Faella. Continuing on from the Xtracts book, we get Apocalypse's love rally. The X-Men watch on, waiting for any excuse to step in, but they restrain themselves. At least most do. X23 has a flash of memory and attacks a protester. That sparks a mini riot, but before it can get out of hand, Apocalypse steps in and tells everyone to calm down. Later the X-Men debate over what to do about Apocalypse. So far he hasn't stepped over any line, so they seem to be going with a wait-and-see approach. But Colossus demands action to stop such flagrant attachments. Jean, X-Men, and X23 go to Department X to see what they say, and they too can't do anything yet. Meanwhile, Colossus is hiding that he felt an instant attraction to Kitty, and is very angry about it. Magneto is also having a crisis, as he felt anger for the first time since he was a villain. He has a vision of his dead children, but it must have been some vision, since a peeping storm sees it too. Another weird issue. It was mostly X-Men arguing if they could go beat up some hippies for showing affection. I understand slow burns, but this is the second issue of 5, and nothing has happened yet. Maybe these minis have to be read as a whole instead of individual stories, which makes more sense, but I don't think that experiment is working so far. The art was quite good though, 6 out of 10. Then there's Dead Man Logan Number 5, written by Ed Brisson and art by Mike Henderson. Logan and his ragtag team are assaulting Neo Hydra's base. Mysterio runs off to rejoin the bad guys, it seems, who are in the middle of an argument. Sin Fenley admits that she never wanted to be any part of Miss Sinister's plan for world domination, and she was just in it for the lulz. Mysterio tricks the Neo Hydra guys into blasting Crossbones, who he didn't like very much. As the X-Men deal with Neo Hydra, Miss Sinister and Sin, Logan confronts Mysterio. He lets all his rage out as he stabs the villain right through his fishbowl. The X-Men capture Miss Sinister, Sin, and critically injured Crossbones, and leave Mysterio's body where it fell. Of course it wasn't him. Mysterio goes back to the now shot up and abandoned insane asylum where he was taken from, promising to never leave again. This was a fun wrap-up to the Mysterio run. I was confused why Mysterio turned evil again, but he had to make Logan quote-unquote kill him, so that he could be left alone. It had really fun action pieces and tied up loose ends, which I liked. The humor in this book is also nice to break up the action and the underlying depression of Logan's death tour. The art was also really good. Although cartoony, everyone had to look to them in character. It felt very much like the old Justice League International, with a modern Deadpool vibe. This comic has surprised me as to how much I'm enjoying it, month to month. Curious to see where Logan goes next, 8 out of 10. Next we have X23 Number 10, written by Mariko Tamaki, with art by Diego Ollartugu. Laura is facing off against the evil Doctor and his cybernetic clone army. After monologuing, the Doctor activates the cyborgs and makes his escape. Laura is overwhelmed and all looks lost. Then Gabby and her good cyborg sister arrive to save the day. Laura goes after the Doctor as Gabby and the cyborg hold off the rest of the cyborg army. Gabby gets fastball specialed up to the control room as Laura jumps onto the escaping Doctor's helicopter. The good cyborg has a plan and tells Gabby to hit the self-destruct button for the cyborgs in 5 minutes. She had been mortally wounded, so Gabby reluctantly agrees. The cyborg jumps onto the helicopter too, and throws Laura off. She then destroys the helicopter's controls, and Gabby hits the self-destruct. The Doctor dies, and most of his research is destroyed, but not all, leaving room for further consequences. The finale of the Cyborg clone arc was a bit predictable as the clone dies, killing its creator. Even the denouement at the end was a bit stilted and tacked on. Not the best ending of an arc by a long shot. The art seemed rushed in places, but in others it was great, so I guess deadline issues arose somewhere along the line. 7 out of 10 still for the Gabby action scenes. Her doing a fastball special was worth the price. Lastly, we have X-Force Number 4, written by Ed Brisson and art by Dylan Burnett. Ahab is cannibalized Deathlock as X-Force arrives. The freed mutants are being helped by Cannonball and Boom Boom as the rest go after Ahab. The general comes out in a powered armor and does a drive-by on Domino's van, so the freed mutants aren't going anywhere. The general goes after Ahab for killing his son. Kid Cables gets confronted by Domino as he lets slip he had an ulterior motive here. It's to save Rachel Summers, who Ahab had captured and turned back into a hound in extinction. So now X-Force has to save Ahab to find out where she is. Ahab and the general battle as the freed mutants decide to stand up for themselves to fight their oppressors. X-Force beats the general and Ahab, but before Ahab can give any secrets, the general sends one last blast, killing him. The freed mutants say they saw Rachel, but she was taken through the time portal. X-Force are getting their wounded out of there, when suddenly Warpath is stabbed through the chest from something inside the portal. Then out steps Strife and his baddies to confront Kid Cable and X-Force. The art was once again dynamic and evocative as the teams fought through the facility. The revelation that Kid Cable was up to save his sort of sister was good too. Is Warpath dead? I doubt it. I was never a fan of Strife, but as he's a clone of the original Cable, this will be fun to see how he interacts with Kid Cable. 7.5 out of 10. Just a little note, I was going to review Uncanny X-Men Winter's End number 1, but I got a couple of pages in and it was so bad. I then saw it was 34 pages long and said, screw this. The art was horrible, and I mean worse than acceptable for a book by the Big Two. I have a feeling this was part of a deal Marvel had with Scenic Grace, and they put it out as cheaply as possible. So there's that. The Age of X-Men minis continue to underwhelm, so there's that too. Old Man Logan, X23 and X-Force were okay, but nothing spectacular. It seems we're fading from the grandeur the X-Men have been in for the past few months. Uncanny is our last hope next week. If that disappoints, I don't know what I'll do. Wish me luck.